Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal. Not the deadline day we were expecting in terms of incomings. It has been a busy day in terms of outgoings. There still could be more. There's still like 4 hours to go. By the time we watch this, maybe 3 hours to go. But not the busy deadline day we were expecting. Now I remember at the beginning of the transfer window, I said I wanted 5 players. I wanted 2 or 3 midfielders. I wanted a backup for Saka, and I wanted a fullback. Now some of you wanted a striker. I didn't really feel like we needed that a lot because he scored 88 goals last season. So that is what I wanted: a backup for Saka, a couple of midfielders, 2 or 3, and then a fullback. Obviously, we got Timber as a fullback. Unfortunately, got injured. We got Declan Rice, and we have to count Havertz as well. He was signed as a midfielder as well. We got a goalkeeper surprisingly out of nowhere, but we did improve in terms of our backup goalkeeper. Turner Trey, I think this is an improvement. We didn't expect that one, but we still didn't get a backup for Saka. And some of you want a striker. We didn't get a striker as well. So it's tough. Obviously, some people are saying, okay, Arsenal will now finish 5th or 6th. I don't necessarily think you're going to finish 5th or 6th. I still feel like as long as we have Saka, Trossard, Martinelli, Odegaard, all these guys, we are still going to finish in the top 4. The only problem is competing with Man City, because I think Man City have spent more money than us this transfer window so far. It's about to end, but they have spent more money than us. Recently, they bought Doku, and they've also bought Nunes from Wolves. So the situation where we are, Man City are ahead of us. We are trying to chase them this season, and they've spent more money than us. Obviously, it looks bad. It seems like they've gotten even farther away from the rest of us. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. In terms of not signing anyone on deadline day, we never really sign anyone on deadline day. Recently, Tomiyasu and I think Jorginho. I guess that is what happens if you sign everyone before the end of June. You're not really going to have busy end to the campaign. Although we still expected a couple of new signings, especially Timber getting injured. But we will talk about that in the second part of the video. Let's start with the outgoings. Now, Holding, most of the latest on Rowe Holding, Fabrizio Romano confirmed a couple of hours ago that medical ongoing from Rob Holding at Crystal Palace, done deal, and here we go for 4 million fee. Permanent transfer from Arsenal for the centre-back who preferred move to Palace over La Liga proposal. So Rob Holding decided he's going to go to Crystal Palace, not to Mallorca, and I don't remember the other team that wanted him from La Liga. I think Crystal Palace is a good move for him. I mean, he gets to stay in London. I'm thinking that is one of the main reasons why he wanted to stay or to go to Crystal Palace, because they're also in London, and he doesn't really move away from London, and it's an English team as well. I guess all that went into consideration. Doesn't really have to move. That's the main thing. And do I think he's going to start there? Not necessarily, because they have Anderson and Gay, so I don't think he's obviously going to start. But in terms of, I think Rob Holding is, I don't think he's a top 2, top 3, top 4 Premier League kind of defender. But I think teams like Bournemouth and Crystal Palace, he can do a job for them, obviously. Now at Arsenal, we want defenders who are going to play from the back, defenders who are going to play around with Ramsdale and Gabriel at the back, pick out long passes like Ben White does, go into midfield like Zinchenko does. Rob Holding is not going to do that for you. But in a team like Crystal Palace or Burnley or teams like that, where you just want to defend, head the ball, crosses, clear the crosses, not necessarily play from the back, I think Holding can do great in such a team. And 4 million, we're getting 4 million. I don't think we are going to get anything more than that. He has been at Arsenal for around 7 years, so he's one of our more than 7 years actually. He's been one of our longest serving players, so all the best to him. I was hoping you'd get like 6 or 7 million for him, but I guess 4 million is better than nothing. It could have been worse. It could have been 0 million. You could have terminated his contract like we've done with the rest of the defenders we've had recently, like Mustafi and Kolasinac and Socrates, all those guys. At least we are getting 4 million. I think it had gotten to the end of his Arsenal career. I think last season or a couple of seasons ago. I do remember that he won us a trophy in the FA Cup back in 2017. No one expected Holding to be partnering Mertesacker in defense that day. They did. They helped us beat Chelsea, who were actually Premier League champions that season. So that is one of the good memories. And obviously, Arsene Wenger saying that, you know what, Rob Holding, I'm sorry, it doesn't cost time. He's not an expensive player and stuff like that. I'll always remember that as well. But unfortunately, at the moment right now, it had gotten to a stage where, not many Arsenal, again, not even many, I guess like 95% of the Arsenal fan base did not really want him here. Every time he comes on, you can see every single fan like, why is he coming on? Not really good enough. you could see it. So I think it's good time for him to move on for a new challenge. He's been at Arsenal for 7 years. Before Arsenal, he was at Bolton, so he never really experienced any other Premier League teams really apart from Arsenal. So all the best to him. I think it's going to be a good move for him. He signed a 3-year deal there, so all the best to Rob Holding at Crystal Palace. Although he's not yet been announced, I'm guessing he will be announced very, very soon. Now, he's not the only Arsenal player who's leaving today. Albert Sambi Lokonga. What's the latest on Albert Sambi Lokonga? Well, according to reports from Fabrizio, Lokonga joins Luton Town on loan from Arsenal. The deal has been agreed. Here we go. The player has given his green light. So obviously, yes, Arsenal wanted to let him go, but he also had to say yes because some people would say no to Luton because it's kind of a guaranteed relegation. They are playing tonight actually against West Ham. I really want to see how that game goes. At the beginning of the season, I did predict Luton and Nottingham to go down. Nottingham have kind of played well so far, so I wouldn't be surprised if they stay up. But that's where Tavares went, and that is where Lokonga has gone as well. So it's going to be a tough season for sure for Lokonga and Luton. I don't expect them to stay up. It's going to be very hard to perform against the bigger teams, but it's a good challenge. If he helps them stay up, well done for sure. Absolutely well done. It is not an easy challenge at all to keep Luton Town in the Premier League. If they do, well done to them. So Lokonga is moving on to Luton. It is a loan deal, not a permanent deal. I was hoping that it's either he stays or we just sell him at completely. But unfortunately, we didn't really get any suitors who are ready to pay the money. But all the best to him. And also, you never know. Saliba came to Arsenal. He went out to three loan spells. He came back and look at him right now. I mean, Lokonga is slightly older than what Saliba was at that time, but you never know. He went on loan to Crystal Palace. He is going to Luton, maybe another loan deal next season. And by the time he comes back in 2025, he's playing next to Declan Rice. Who knows? But all the best to Albert Sambi Lokonga as well. Another player that we will be watching in the Premier League. So I'm glad most of these players have gone to the Premier League so that you can actually regularly watch them and see how they do over there and watch them regularly pretty much. So all the best to Albert Sambi Lokonga. Once again, he's not the only one who was left. One of our backup goalkeepers, Arthur Okonkwo, has also departed the club on loan. According to Jordan, for the Athletic, Arsenal goalkeeper Arthur Okonkwo will join League Two side Wrexham on a season-long loan, replacing the recently retired Ben Foster. So if you follow Ben Foster's path, you're going to be a YouTuber and you're going to be cycling a lot. So all the best to your Okonkwo. He was never really going to get his chance. I have a feeling this is one of those players and deals that or players that you're never really going to see playing for Arsenal. There's usually some of those at clubs, especially goalkeepers, because Ramsdale and Rowe, like Ramsdale is very young. Like for goalkeepers, Ramsdale and Rowe have like 10 years to go. So Okonkwo, in terms of getting a chance at Arsenal, I don't really see it. So I think you're going to loan him out once, twice, thrice, and then all of a sudden he's sold or he leaves the club on a free. But all the best to Okonkwo over at Wrexham in League Two. They are conceding a lot of goals. I've followed the results of a couple of games, and they've conceded like 5 goals already this season in one game. They consider a lot of goals. So all the best to him over there. I'm hoping that he does help them over there. They're not the only players who are leaving or we expected to leave today. We expected Pepe to leave as well, but somehow he is still here, but he could still end up leaving because some of the transfer windows are not yet closed. Cedric is still here. That is one that could stay. I remember like a month ago, I said I'd not be surprised if Cedric and Holding stayed. Holding has obviously left on the last day, but Cedric is still here. Maybe they'd be thinking, you know what, maybe you can use him left back, right back at especially in the Carabao Cup, in the FA Cup, who knows, maybe not in the league and in the Champions League, but maybe in the other competitions. So Cedric is still here. Elneny is still here. I didn't expect Elneny to leave at all. I think he's on very low wages and he's not really hurting anyone. He's not really playing. For Elneny, I didn't really mind if he stays or went because I know you're not going to get anything for him anyway. So just keep him until the contract ends anyway, because you play him in one game in the Carabao Cup or something, but he's not going to feature a lot in the Premier League and also in the FA Cup. And he's one of those players who is not worried about being on the bench. Many players would be worried about being on the bench. Players like Balogun and all those guys. So Elneny is not really worried. Speaking of Balogun also left to AS Monaco a couple of days ago. So we have been on a selling spree. A lot of the players who didn't want to be here, we felt like we didn't really need, have ended up leaving the club. Tierney as well. Most of us wanted him to stay, but he's gone out on loan. A lot of loan deals, so most of these players will be back very soon or next season. I don't know if you're going to move them on after that or they're going to stay. And all of them are pretty young, so you never know. Tierney, Tavares, Lokonga, all of them are young, so you never know if the Arsenal careers are really over or they're actually going to come back as Arsenal players. So let's see what else happens in the next 3 hours, 4 hours in terms of outgoings. One player that I'm really happy is not leaving is this guy, Smith Rowe. It seems like he's not going anywhere. Atsa actually spoke about him today. Atsa was asked about whether Smith Rowe is going to stay or leave, or whether he's going to get an opportunity to play. And he actually answered the question today, if I can find it. But I'm really, really happy that Smith Rowe is not going anywhere. This is a player we did not want to go anywhere, man. Like Emil Smith Rowe is going to help us a lot. Although yes, he's not played so far, but we are only 3 games this season. Let's remember that. Many people are like, yeah, why is Smith not playing? Why is Vieira doing this? Why is Tavares doing that? Why is Gabriel? Like, we have a lot of games. Like, after the international break, I guess you can look at it like, hey, Gabriel has not played any game. He will be fresh for the Champions League games. Most of those players as well have been called up for the international team. So even Ketty is going to play for his international team. Gabriel, Martinelli, Saka, Rice, Ramsdale, Raya, like all of those players have been picked for the international team. So they will be featuring a lot during the during the international break. So we need all of them back fit. Speaking of fitness, Smith Rowe definitely needs to stay fit. As I tried to find out the hell Atta said about him, but basically I was trying to say he's going to get a chance, especially this September. He's going to get a huge chance. Now, this September, we have Man United this weekend and then until like 16th September in terms of international break. But when you come back, Everton, we'll have Brentford in the Carabao Cup. We'll have our first Champions League. We'll have it confirmed very soon which Champions League game we are going to play. You're not sure which one you're going to start with. I'd love to start with like a home game, Lens, PSV, Sevilla, whichever. I'd like to start with the home game. Unfortunately, the Smith Rowe article has disappeared, but you get, as I tried to find it still, but you get what I was trying to say though. So basically said he's going to feature a lot in September. And the rest of the season, everyone is going to play. That is why everyone is going to feature. We need everyone to stay. Before I come to speaking about everyone, let's also talk about Gabriel. That's another one who it looked like he was going to leave, but he's going to end up staying, which is really, really good news for us. We did not want to imagine if we lost Gabriel and also lost Smith. So like the meltdown would have been insane because all of those players, we need all of them to be at Arsenal. We don't want any of them to be leaving anytime soon. Nice, especially Smith Rowe is very young. He had a very incredible season, 2021, 2022, and also Gabriel, man, like he's a regular part of our team. And I finally found out he said about Smith Rowe, by the way. Obviously, I have conversations with him, and it's important for him to understand where he is. It was always going to be tricky in the first 3 or 4 weeks, not just for us, but for all the clubs. And you see all of the rumors about all of the players that are not playing and are unhappy, not only in his country, but in every country. It's 1 game per week for a month, and everybody has started the new season with huge aspirations, and there's not minutes for everybody. But September will be very different. So we are probably going to use everyone in September. The likes of Gabriel, Smith Rowe, everyone. Now, speaking of everyone, we have a lot of competitions coming up, and everyone is going to be used for sure. Like Smith Rowe, definitely. Odegaard, definitely. Fabio Vieira. That's why I was like, yeah, I don't really see the need of abusing players like Nketiah and Havertz, because all of them are going to be used. They're now part of Arsenal. Havertz is now part of Arsenal. Nketiah is still part of Arsenal. All of them are going to be used. Odegaard cannot play every single day. Saka cannot play every single day. We will need Nelson. We will need Havertz. We will need Fabio Vieira to play better than he did last season. We need Smith Rowe to stay fit. We need Tomiyasu to stay fit, especially Tomiyasu and Zinchenko. We 100% need both of them to stay fit. At the moment, you only have 6 defenders. That is according to us. Maybe Atsa is looking at Party like, hey, he can play right back, that is 7, and Rice can play centre back, that is 8. Maybe he's looking at it like that, depending on the formation you're going to use. I still feel like we're short in terms of defense. In terms of attack, I don't really mind. I was not eager about getting a striker. I wanted a backup for Saka. Unless Nelson and Fabio Vieira can do that very well, we could be good. But if everyone stays fit and everyone plays well, I think we will be okay, because that means we have Jesus and Nketiah playing well, staying fit. Saka, Nelson, Trossard, Martinelli, Odegaard, Fabio Vieira, Havertz, Rice, Partey, Jorginho. That's already like 12, 13 players. And then both goalkeepers, that's like 15. And then you have White, the 6 defenders are around 21 players. And then remember, there's a couple of youngsters who can also come on in the cup competition. But the main players, the big boys, 2021 players. We still have 2021 players who can play, who can feature regularly in any competition. So it might not be enough, especially if we pick up injuries, but if they all stay fit and everyone performs, I think we'll definitely still get top 4. In terms of winning the Premier League, maybe it could change because Man City have strengthened even more than us, so that is a bit of a worry. And in terms of other, I predicted Arsenal to win the league in the Carabao Cup. I still think we can win the Carabao Cup because we have a good second team with Trossard coming on, and who knows, Gabriel has been on the bench. That means he can play in the Carabao Cup as well. You can bring on Tomias and all those players. So obviously it's not enough. It's not everything that we wanted. I really wanted 1 or 2 more players. If you got one very good player, this would have been a 10 out of 10 window. I was ready to rate this a 10 out of 10. At the moment, I still say around 8, because many people did not expect Arsenal to outbid Man City for Declan Rice. I was very confident all window and you got him. So that one already gave us 3 or 4 marks on the list. Actually, if you had to give everyone a mark out of 10 combined, I think Rice has contributed 5 marks in terms of me giving that 8. And then Julian Timber was a very, very good buy. Unfortunately, got injured. I think it would have helped us a lot this season. So that one is a killer, especially when people are yeah, at least he's gotten injured before the transfer windows closed. I was like, you know what, I'm not sure, man. We cannot really say that because we've been looking at this guy for a couple of months. He's already played for us for a month or 2. We know him already. So before you start saying, okay, let's go and look for other players, it's very difficult. And getting a player like that, exactly like that, is very difficult. So that's why I'm like, nah, he needs to stay fit, man. You cannot just say, okay, fine, at least he's gotten injured before the transfer window closed. It's never guaranteed that we were ever going to get anyone anyway. So that is where it kind of becomes a problem. I really wish he could have stayed fit, man. If Timber was there, it could have been amazing. I wouldn't expect teams to be like, okay, Saka is injured, buy a player. Timber is injured, buy a player. Rai is injured, buy another player. I don't think it could be that way, as we've had it explained here by Chris Davison. Arteta says the club have taken a cautious approach in the transfer market since Timber's injury. He suggests that those with uncertain features had to be dealt with first. It wasn't as simple as going out and signing more players. I do see why, but I still think I would have had enough to buy at least one more player. Even a loan deal, just something. I mean, Man United did not buy Amra, but they got him on loan and all. And also remember, a couple of months we were told this by Kieran Maguire, one of the financial experts in football. He said that Arsenal have a very low wage bill in, compared to Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United, and we are in a very good place financially. So reading that a couple of months ago, I was like, hey, even though you spent 200 million, you're going to spend a lot more. But it doesn't turn out to be the case. We've been trying to sell players, and they're not 2 or 3, they're almost 10 players we're trying to get rid of. Tavares, Lokonga, Pepe, Balogun, and many, many more. Cedric, holding a lot more players. But I still maybe that can be an excuse for not getting 2 or 3 more players, but I feel like we needed at least one more. January, Tomiyasu is going for the Asian Cup. Tapati is going for the AFCON as well. El Neni probably going for the AFCON. So again, we won't have more players enough players unless we buy 3 or 4 players again in January, which we rarely do. We rarely buy that many players in January. But it's going to be interesting. Now the transfer window is about to close. Now it's back to focusing on the football. We know which teams are going to play in the Champions League, which teams are going to play in the league, which teams are playing in the Carabao Cup. Everyone has to perform. Now, everyone has to perform. We need Jorginho, we need Gabriel, we need Tomiyasu, we need everyone to perform. Everyone. We have no margin for error. We have no margin for, if you want to compete for the big things against Real Madrid and Man City and all those guys, we have to keep everyone fit, and we have to win every time we can. The worst you can get is a draw. We can't even afford to be losing games these days. So this weekend, I've already done a preview for Arsenal Man United. This weekend, I want to see the same back for Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba, and Ben White, same back for us last season. Let's go back to what was working last season, and let's work on that. But I'm happy Smith Rowe is staying. I'm happy Gabriel is staying. In terms of the ratings, I said I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. If I gotten 1 or 2 more players, it could easily have been 10 out of 10. Actually, if you had gotten like someone like a Cancelo or something like that, it would have been a 10 out of 10 directly, even if it was just one player. But as of now, I think it's still an 8. I was very happy with the Declan Rice signing, very happy with the Timber signing. Obviously, getting rare backup for Ramsdale, didn't expect to have 2 very good goalkeepers like that. I'm still giving Havertz a chance. I've not seen I'm not totally giving up on him like some of you have. I'm still giving him a chance. I don't even think he's really played that badly anyway. Maybe it would be good to just put him on the bench for a couple of games, maybe just to put the pressure away from him and then bring him back later. I wouldn't start him against Man United. Start Rice, Odegaard, and Partey as well, and let's see how it works out. But yes, I don't think you're going to hear about anything in the next 3-4 hours, but if you do, you're going to be back again. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys on the next one.